Hi, everyone. Welcome to Arrive, the podcast for SaaS founders racing from launch to ARR, where we spotlight founders' journeys and growth and unpack the tactics that turn an MVP into predictable revenue. This is episode 6, and we are super excited. We have an amazing guest here for you. And today's podcast is brought to you by Phantom Growth. We partner with SaaS companies to build predictable pipelines of qualified buyers that raise ARR, all without a big sales team or massive ad spend, by leveraging AI and proven systems for growth. If you're curious how Phantom Growth helps SaaS companies create predictable growth, check out Phantom Growth, F-A-N-T-U-M, Growth to schedule a call. Today's guest is Darren Fanton. He is the co-founder and CEO of ScreenSpace, alongside with his twin brother Adam. ScreenSpace is a storytelling platform reimagining how SaaS companies showcase their products. With the launch of ScreenSpace 2.0, Darren and his team introduced interactive buyer experiences, which is a new category that blends dynamic visuals, narrative design, and trackable engagement into a single shareable link that turns product demos into revenue engines. And I first came across Darren's work when I was working with a client and they were showing me one of their demos. Went to their site and I immediately thought, who built this? Like, this is the coolest product. And that led me to ScreenSpace and reaching out to Darren. So with that intro, Darren, thank you so much for being here with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. Good to be here. I'm glad you reached out. That's awesome that you saw something on a client's website and was like, oh, I got to meet this guy.
Yeah, it was the coolest thing. I was going through I literally asked her, I was like, how in the world did you create this? Like, this is the best product demo I've ever seen. And the big issue that I see with a lot of SaaS products and websites is no one wants to log in. No one wants to put in all their information and not get an actual view into what the product does and how it works. And I was just like, this is great. Like, it gave me an in on the product and allowed me to explore it as if I was already a user of it, which made me then go and create an account. So, which is probably the goal. I mean, you tell me, you can tell me better than you can about how you created it, but that was my take and my impression from the get-go.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously if it got you to take the next step, it's working. It's working great. The ScreenSpace can be used in a lot of different parts of the funnel, which I'm sure we'll get into later. So it depends on where the buyer is on their journey, if they're top of funnel, mid, or bottom. And depending on who they are, the story, the experience adapts to them, right? So that was the whole idea, Austin. So when you went through it, I imagine you were able to choose your own adventure, and actually feel like that product was in your workflow, in your day-to-day, and you can connect the dots to what problems you have today. And that's where ScreenSpace shines, is that whole idea of adapting to the audience. So adapted to you, and it actually, and in that case, the next step was to bring you into the product, and sounds like it did a great job of that.
Oh, it did. It was so customized. It was animated. It was, genuinely one of the best product demos I've ever seen. And again, I loved that I didn't have to log in, and I'm sure it's boosted the rates significantly of other people. Have you guys found any specific metrics on what it looks like to have a demo versus not?
Well, when it comes to click-through rates and engagement compared to video or other means on a website, we're seeing more than 3 times the engagement on interactive content than video. But it varies depending on the use case. So sometimes our customers are using it specifically for education, and it's more top of funnel thought leadership. So most of their audience is not ready to buy. So that conversion rate is not what they're focused on. They're focused on engagement and brand awareness. And on websites, we're seeing the increase in conversion rates in regards to educating customers, but also getting on the short list, right? So if you don't have a trial, you can't, and the next step is actually hop on a sales call. You have to get on that short list of three or 4 vendors before they'll even consider talking to anyone on your team. And so that's a metric that we're closely following and influencing, because today, when you have so many products out there that look exactly the same, across the board, the features are probably the same. What wins is how you deliver your message, how you emotionally connect to your audience and build that relationship. And so we attach those metrics to ScreenSpace, and depending on where they are in the buyer cycle and what the use case is, of course, there's different metrics that we're going to follow.
Yeah. Well, super interesting. How did you come up with this idea? Like, had you worked in another business before where you were creating these, or was this just like
No, so
your
it's
own epiphany?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. So you'll see that ScreenSpace is a very visual product. So it's not going to translate through this conversation here on a podcast,
Yeah.
but it's a very different way to an experience a brand, a product, an idea. And so you have to really go to ScreenSpace or go to one of our customer websites to check it out and feel it. But it actually came from, my background is actually from Hollywood. So I spent 20 years with my twin brother. We had an agency and our thing was visual storytelling. We worked with directors and writers from music videos to broadcast shows, films, commercials, and depending on the medium and the audience, we would build visual moments that would captivate an audience and build story and an arc that not only gets people to lean in and engage with your content, it motivates them and inspires them. And in Hollywood, we have a captive audience, right? So they've got the popcorn in their hand. They're sitting in front of, they're watching the Super Bowl and they're going through the ads, whatever it is, they're captive and they're ready to absorb your content. But what's so exciting about the B2B space, at least for me, is B2B has the worst audience possible. Right? They don't want to be there. They're confused. They're overwhelmed. They have so many things going on, and you have to find a way to get them to want to stop everything they're doing, lean in, and get immersed in your content and want to learn more about your product or your framework or your playbook or your thing. And that is an exciting challenge that inspired me to shift out of the Hollywood world and into this space. Initially you asked, how did we come up with the idea? Initially the thought was video is the best storytelling platform to engage an audience and educate an audience, right? And so we figured access to video is the best step. So we created the first passive video. So it's interactive SaaS platform where you can create 30, 60-second promo videos like Apple style iPhone, ads and 3D monitors and very slick animation voiceover. So we thought, that was our first step is access to video. That's going to solve the problem. But what we quickly found is the problem is not access to video itself. It's the storytelling method of video. It's passive, it's linear. There's only one story you can tell, which means it's almost always very high level. Great for awareness. But when you're trying to get someone to visualize using that product or connect the dots to their own business objectives or their own pain points that are keeping them up at night, you need a story that's they can actually, relate to and put the shoes on as if they're actually going through that experience and that journey of where they are today, visualizing where they need to get to and that journey to get there, which in most cases involves a product. But in some cases, like for an executive, it's an ROI map or a roadmap visualization. It's not a product walkthrough.
Could you give an example of one of those that you built and kind of the solution that they were providing and how you guys demonstrated that?
Yeah. So, it varies on each product. Right now, we're working with agencies to visualize their process. So I'm trying to think of one that I can mention that we're not in the production right now specifically. We've built, so for Augment AI, so we worked with them to visualize their story. They had a new product coming out. It's available now. If you go to augment.ai to their landing page, you'll see it above the fold, the interactive experience. And they had a unique challenge in that their product it's a digital sales room, but it does so much more. And it as every DSR, does, right? Every product is like, we do this, but so much more. And so they needed to visualize how their product works in context of a sales leader, specifically for this interactive demo. And so instead of just building a sandbox or just capturing the whole product so people can just play around like a trial, we visualize the actual path that a buyer goes through in a story that a sales leader is going to relate to. So when you get into the interactive experience, you're immediately set up in, you're 2 weeks into a sales deal, you're catching up on how everything's been going with the reps. You get caught up on, where everything's at in the conversation and the deal. And then you go through the product in context of a problem that you need to solve. And so that was a very product centric story that we built. And we've done others that don't even show the product at all. They're more like interactive explainers, or they visualize the roadmap and the cost of inaction of, working with the company and, choosing that solution versus either, doing nothing and drifting into disaster and loss, or choosing a competitor. And this is what your life might look like.
Wow. Well, so interesting. Your background in storytelling and design and then building that into the SaaS space, like such a cool combination of skills and talents. Does that kind of scratch your creative itch doing what you're doing now, SaaS?
You know what's been scratching my creative itch a lot more recently is, we're a hybrid product and agency. And so initially our thought process when I came from Hollywood was I thought marketers knew their story and they knew, the audience and what they needed to see, and they just needed a better way of visualizing that. And as I started learning and working with our customers, I quickly found out that was not the case. Everyone's on a different part of their journey, but in most cases, storytelling is very new. It's a new concept. You used to be able to sell features and your product itself could sell itself. Today, with products that are just identical, you have to shift the mentality to focus on the buyer as the hero. And your product is giving them the ability, the superpowers to be able to defeat whatever villain or pain that they're going through. And so what we found recently, and as I discovered that, we realized we needed to spin up an agency model. So we're a hybrid product and agency, the product being the very easy way to execute on what we storyboard and what we design together. But on the agency side, we get to work with brands and come up with, identify what that journey is, visualize that on a canvas before we even bring it into ScreenSpace, and understand that path to value. And from there, we translate that into something we can visualize. And so for me, the creative itch gets scratched from direct one-to-one interactions with our clients, problem solving when it comes to having a framework that you have to have a co-founder or an executive in the room to be able to describe how the framework works. Now we can take those, and I work with a lot of great sales and marketing leaders and how to visualize their frameworks and their ideas so that people can self-serve and learn on their own.
Yeah.
So that's been really exciting for me recently.
So how do you recommend creating a story around your brand
Well, it all
or
starts
your
with the
loaded
buyer, right?
question?
It's everyone needs to think out of the side of the box. That's kind of been my theme this year. Everyone's been focused on your playbooks that have worked in the past but aren't working now. So you're thinking tweak the playbook. It's your website. Oh, maybe we just need to rebrand the website or change this content on the website, or it's other content. Maybe we need more videos to show the product. And there's all these things everyone's been used to just trying more of or tweaking, but today in the AI world and how the audience has shifted, you have to throw all that out for a second, right? Ignore everything you've ever learned in the past and just think, why are we here? What is the purpose of me being in my position and my company being in existence? And it's, in
Yeah.
most cases, or it should be about solving a specific problem for a market, for, an audience. And if you think about that, it's all about the buyer. What is it that they're going through today that you are positioned to be able to help them solve? And if you just distill it down to that, it makes it a lot easier to start building that story out. And the structure starts with, what's the state of their existence today feel like? What does it look like?
Where are
What does
you?
it smell like? Yeah. Where in a very, rooted in emotion. What are they feeling today? And what is it that's keeping them from feeling something different or better, right? And then visualizing, okay, what's the after state for them look like? If they were able to solve this with a magic wand today, what does their life look like? What does their status look like among their peers? And that's where they want to be, right? So if you can visualize that for them and get them to really feel like you can give that to them, they're going to lean in and they're going to want to learn more. Their biggest reaction is going to be, that sounds too good to be true. There's
For
no way
sure.
you're going to solve this for me. I've tried. And so the third
So
step
what's
is,
deeper than just like more money in your pocket? Like what would that kind of vision be? Because that's where my mind goes, where a lot of these products are made for.
well, in most cases, it's actually not about money. It's about status, or it's about getting a job done. Oh, almost every product in B2B is a workflow product. This is taking me too long to do. It's too expensive. I'm not capable. I don't have the confidence. I can't find the right tool or the person to solve this thing for me. Maybe I'm thinking about it wrong. Answering those questions for them, especially starting with what is my problem and getting them to understand that better, that immediately positions you as the expert and the guide to help them move forward. But when you put that in context of storytelling, you start with the beginning, act one of today, and then, what's the act three where they need to get to, and then what's the journey to get there, right? It's the key that everyone keeps forgetting is, we can, 5x your revenue. We can do this. We can do that. Everyone ignores it because everyone has the same ending. Every movie has the same moral. That's just the story's different. There's the story of the characters go through different motion. What does it relate to you? So that's the key of what's that journey for them from, to be able to get there and make them feel tangible, make it feel real, make it accessible, and translate that journey to everyone on the team so that every stakeholder that is investing, their time to, analyze your product and your solution, each one of them needs to be able to very clearly understand how it's going to help them, how it's going to help the business, and how are they going to get there. And once all those questions are answered, it's a no-brainer, right? They've believe in your solution. They believe you're going to get them there. They have an emotional resonance and connection to your product. And now the next question is how much and how fast can we get started, right?
Yeah, that's brilliant. Do you guys use your own product demos like this on your own website?
We do. In fact, we have a whole new rebrand and website coming out in the next few weeks. And we do use ScreenSpace on our website right now, but it's going to be a more integral part of the buying process for ScreenSpace. Only caveat for us is it's very meta, right? People come to our website and don't know, are we using a different tool to show ScreenSpace? Or are we using ScreenSpace to show ScreenSpace? Where are the lines? So we have to be very careful and creative in how we present it while we also use it for our own benefits. Because why use something else when ScreenSpace is so effective?
Sure. So what do the initial onboarding steps look like for a client? Are you asking them questions about their brand story, their mission? How do you come up with that? Is it a collaborative thing together?
Yeah. So there's two options. I mean, this is going to be more prevalent in our new rebrand and website process, but there's two options. We have a PLG motion where if you are a little bit further along in understanding your story, what you need to visualize for your buyers, maybe you're coming from another solution like video or a product tour solution, and you already have an idea, but you need to expand beyond that specific medium in order to convey a bigger, broader story and message. That PLG motion is, you can get in and we have a free trial. You can play with it, create, free ScreenSpace stories that you can use for your own frameworks or playbooks, different use cases, processes, or actual, walkthroughs of your product, all for free inside of our trial. We have a free plan as well that extends beyond it. And then we also have I mentioned we're a hybrid agency. So the other path is we have a done for you and done with you a solution. So in those cases, we'll hop on a call, and every sales call I have is more strategy. I'm never selling, I'm never pitching. It's talk to me about what's going on in your world, and let's see what kind of things you've tried, what can change. And it typically at the end of the call turns into a very specific, path for the person I'm talking to of this is what we need to show, whether it's in ScreenSpace or something else. We really focus on what's the best strategy for where they're at today. And if it is ScreenSpace, we have an option to translate that into, we have workshops that we do with our clients. We'll map everything out. We'll storyboard everything. So a lot of that is taken away beyond ScreenSpace's applications itself. So you can use that in your own messaging and content that you're creating.
Yeah.
And then from there, we'll actually, in some cases, we'll build out the full interactive story or demo for them, or we'll do a hybrid approach where they'll build it out internally, and then we'll do a design pass or a story pass and have kind of an async relationship. So we like to be flexible in what we offer because it's a creative process, and some people prefer to have us as part of their team, and others the tools, everything that they need, and they can just get in there and dive in.
No, I love how you explained that whole process. That's really, it sounds like you totally understand your customers and having done this for a little bit. What was your first green light that this was something that was actually working and that people wanted?
So before we had a product, so again, I had an agency for 20 years. So our initial approach, this is 2021 when we started to pivot into interactive experiences, was we built a video using After Effects and using our normal tools that we use for our own clients. And we built a promo for a non-existent product. Not to just put out there and sell something that's fake and doesn't exist, but we did market research and would reach out to companies that were using video, but we noticed the videos too vague and they had specific use cases and personas on their website that weren't being addressed in the videos. We'd find anyone who's in this space that seem like they're trying to do something, but they're using a medium that can't achieve it. And that again, that translates beyond videos and product tours, research, ebooks that are 80 pages long and no one's actually reading them because it's too lengthy, or it's, again, frameworks that people look at and they're overwhelmed and confused and they don't get it. And so they leave, or it's something else. And so we would reach out to anyone that kind of we felt like had that problem and didn't, it was all discovery. We showed the video at the end of the discovery so we could just learn, all research, more research oriented conversations and relationship building. Then we showed the video and said, well, imagine if you had something like this. And we showed a video of what ScreenSpace was going to be within 6 months. And in almost every case the person that I was talking to wanted to put down a credit card to pre-purchase the product. I didn't even mention what it was until the very end.
That's the ultimate validation right there.
Yeah, it was instant validation. We sold I think about a dozen clients within the first month before we launched our product, before we actually started really building something that could be used. And then from those relationships, we evolved ScreenSpace. And it was a lot of, once we had those pilot customers, we stopped sales and marketing and we wanted to focus on something very new, very different. We didn't want to be this, but that. We really wanted to focus on what does the buyer need and what do we know? What's our experience? How can we take everything that we've done in Hollywood and working with audiences and help them solve their problem? And the problem is the audience.
Yeah.
And so it got us to focus. And that was the quick validation that this is something that's needed. And with AI and where the market's shifting right now, it's only more and more validated that people need a way to tell their story and explain their product as fast as possible in a way that's memorable.
So true. Yeah, there are so many competitors out there in SaaS. And it's like, if you're going to rise to the top, you got to stand out. And like you said, you got to have a unique story. You got to be memorable. With Dex2Go, they are an AI sales solution. And so they help you to improve your sales process, to essentially have like a backend CRM guide through it. And did you guys assist with the animation of those characters that you interact with? Because that was really what brought me into. I was like, oh, I have like an agent who is personified. Mm-hmm. And I can there's a name to them. And it made it like so much better than just like with ChatGPT and all these other tools that we have where you're just looking at text. Yeah.
It's
there's no personalization.
There's no human in prompts, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So we worked with Ayana for years. She was one of our actual first customers in 2022, I believe we started when she was at Aptivio. And so she championed us over at Aptivio. We built out a full structure with them where anyone who went through Aptivio and became a customer, all of them went through ScreenSpace. So the live demos were conducted using ScreenSpace, their collateral, their leave behinds, and it just helped them visualize a product that traditionally wasn't something that you could just put someone in. And the live demos took over 45 minutes because there's so many things it can do that it can get off track very easily when someone's like, wait a minute, show me more of that, right? And so ScreenSpace keeps it on track, story-based, and more focused on the outcomes. Going back to, with Dex2Go, so she actually had these personas already built out in the product. So she built these before, she came to ScreenSpace and was doing this alongside what she's at Aptivio. She built out these characters, these sales coaches, AI sales coaches. And when she came to ScreenSpace to start to visualize the product and how it works, the first thought process is let's just click, create a walkthrough of it, which we did, which is what we do with Aptivio, and just show the screen so people can click and play. But we quickly pivoted, and she was We did creative services with her, so we worked alongside her to help tell the story and build some of the visual side. Even though she's got so much she can do internally, but bandwidth wise was the only reason why she leaned on us for some of it. Otherwise,
Yeah.
she would knock this out of the park on her own. But yeah, so we took those characters and we use them as this choose your own adventure experience so that you can work with these coaches and you can actually feel like you're a real human working with a human inside the product, and you go through that full onboarding process and working with the coach. So that was definitely coming from her, but we brought it to life through ScreenSpace.
No, you definitely brought it to life. It's so fun to go through. And if you guys are listening and want to go check that out, that's Dextego, DEXTEGO.com. And you can go check out that demo on there. Super cool that was just like all integrated into the site. I just was geeking out about it and the whole creative approach to it, because I really think that's where AI is going to, the ones who are going to survive in the AI SaaS space are going to be the ones who have made it more of a human connection. Because
Yes.
essentially the way I feel about AI is by adding AI, we're removing a little bit of human connection. And so it helps us feel like we're bringing a little bit of that back. So with a lot of these demos, do you guys typically add characters to bring the product together?
We will, yes. We encourage it, whether it's a fictional character that someone can relate to. Not always it's, an animation or a visual representation of a human being. But, imagine you're Austin and you need to solve this specific problem, or you've been going through this and people can relate to that. A lot of our customers will use ScreenSpace for case studies. So they'll visualize a buyer's journey as you kind of click through, almost like a hero's journey kind of experience.
Yeah.
And you learn about the person, their personality. We always encourage pull in a personality, make them spunky, make them, they have high stress, whatever it might be that someone can relate to, whether they're real or not. And for a couple of our customers, and we do this for our own, is we'll take you on a fictional journey through, ScreenSpace or through the product, in a real world scenario that people will relate to. They'll feel like they're that person, or it's someone else on their team. That's Todd. That's definitely Todd. Let's go through his journey. And then when you get to the end, we flip the script and we say, hey, meet the real Todd. And it takes you into his real case study. And everything you just went through is actually a real story that a buyer has gone through. And that's the kind of twist where people start to realize, wait, this isn't just fiction. It's not just like, oh my, yeah, it's going to be this easy. There's no way. When you bring in those stories from, real world scenarios, then that's what lands it, that they've clicked through it. They've felt like that person. They've gone through that experience. And now you've actually get to meet the real person. In our case, and including Ioana, we're going to be turning a lot of our clients into our sales reps. So instead of hopping on a call with us or our team, you can chat with someone who's a customer of ours. Get, real world example. They'll show you the product. They'll show you, what they built and how they did it. But in some cases we don't. So if you go to Dextego's website now, she's just updated it on the homepage. She's now added a story, the influence intelligence. So they have their own framework, but it's visualized within an iceberg. And so we have templates inside ScreenSpace to personalize everything. So instead of a traditional template where you swap out text and you use the exact same framework and it's, like a traditional pitch deck.
Yeah.
Everything inside ScreenSpace is designed so with story in mind. So we actually have narrative guides that teach you about narrative, how to use this template and create your own story arcs and replace the content, but what kind of story arc is going to be best for this template? And it comes down to each scene. So each scene is like an interactive infographic or screen that you can click into and click out of without going down a journey. Each one of those has its own story. So every little element inside the bigger picture story that you're clicking through a journey, every scene, every screen that you look at is in itself its own story that helps you learn a little bit more about what's relevant to you, but guides your attention in the right structure that's going to help make a decision.
That's the coolest part, is it's like you tell them what's important. You throw it in front of them and it does these zoom in things if you guys want to go check it out. It's like animation and coding and video all came together.
It's like a video game, right?
It's
It's
like
play.
a video
All
game.
play-based education, yeah.
It totally is. That's I think you guys are just really onto something. So it's really cool. And there's probably billions of use cases. I mean, you guys could branch out from SaaS and take this on a million different
That's
directions.
been the challenge recently, is we're becoming more horizontal than we like
Yeah.
to. But it's fun working with agencies where we've got blue collar companies coming in visualizing their process maps that they can't explain unless they're on
Yeah.
a call, and they can't get on a call unless someone understands their process. So you got that chicken and egg problem. So he's
Yeah.
totally different, right, than an actual product walkthrough and visualizing that journey versus doing frameworks with sales leaders. And so it's definitely a lot of opportunity, but we're trying to stay focused in SaaS and even in the financial advising world. Visualizing, their services is something that's
Yeah.
starting to pick up traction.
So cool. Yeah, we got to talk more about that. It's, very fascinating. What's the future look like and the vision for ScreenSpace?
So where ScreenSpace is going, I mean, really, we're part of everyone else's story, right? We're not telling the story. We're just joining the journey that other buyers are going through, the market's going through, so things are going to change obviously very quickly with AI, but, our focus is really on visual storytelling and bringing other content formats into ScreenSpace and essentially trying to make, one place, one link that a buyer can get all the information that they need that's traditionally buried in, a minute and a half in a video or page 43 in an ebook or on this webinar. It's all dispersed, and we're collecting what matters most and visualizing it and structuring it in a narrative way. And I think any idea, any product that is, too hard to explain within, a few sentences, we're positioned perfectly to help visualize that so they can get it within a couple seconds of just looking and then diving into what's relevant for them.
And how are people finding you guys?
So right now we're just about to kick off a big campaign on LinkedIn and other social networks to visualize, to show people how people are, how our customers are using ScreenSpace. So LinkedIn is a big place to find us. We're also at events and through our own customers. Our customers love chatting about ScreenSpace and showing what they've built and what they've done. It's a big moment for them to be able to show off something creative that they didn't think was even possible that they could do on their own. So you're going to see a lot more of ScreenSpace now that we're going to be doing a lot more capture and video, showing it and showing how it was built in the behind the scenes. But that's and you'll find us, of course, across all of our customer websites.
Very cool. So where can our listeners go and find you guys?
LinkedIn. Follow me on LinkedIn. I'm going to be talking a lot about storytelling. We're going to be releasing our own storytelling canvases so you can build out your narratives on your own. And we're going to have weekly webinars coming out soon. So a lot of content. Follow me on LinkedIn so you can find out when those go live. And then from there, you can find the right medium that works for you. And when you're ready and interested to check it out, love to hop on a call.
Love it. And that's Darren Fanton, Darren Fanton, Fanton, where you guys can check him out on LinkedIn. Well, that is really insightful. I know there's so many SaaS founders out there and businesses who are looking to implement services like that. You're solving a huge pain point. And so hopefully they learn more about you from this podcast and reach out and engage with what you guys are doing, because I really do think it's brilliant. And I appreciate you taking the time to come and share your experience and your growth story here.
Absolutely, Austin. Thanks for having me. I love chatting about this stuff. So always happy to come back on, or if anyone else just wants to chat storytelling or anything, DM me, and more than happy to just grab coffee and chat away.
Love it. Well, I hope they do. And hey, you have a really unique background here. It's so cool to see creative people merging their talents to solve real world solutions. So thanks again for your time, and have a good one.
Thank you, Austin.
Thank you.